Well, continuing here with the Jewish insurrection against the Seleucids, an eventual revolution, essentially. Well, it's kind of hard to say because eventually, once they won, they were again more or less subjugated. But this is the Battle of Beth-Zechariah, and this is kind of an interesting battle because here Judah decides to stand and fight a set-piece battle. And he positions himself in good terrain. He's got these hills, he's got the high ground, he's sitting on a defensive position, but he's going to stand and let the Seleucids come forward. And they have the biggest army that we've seen yet. It's at its core, it's the same army we've seen again and again. And the Jews have a couple of extra light infantry. But what else do we have here? Well, we have a few more silver shields than we had before, stringing along here. We have more cav, including some Syrian heavies. We have more Arabs. And then we start getting to the and a few more skirmishers. Then we start getting to the interesting stuff. Brought elephants and chariots even. So this is sort of the full Seleucid army coming forward here. Historically, the Jews ended up fighting and withdrawing in decent order. And that's viewed as a victory in this game, unlike most of the battles. And actually, I think that's a nice mechanism in this for the Great Battles of History games that I wish I saw more of, which is, hey, you're facing an impossible situation. You should be able to withdraw without routing. You should be able to, surrender the battle and maybe get a lesser victory or something. Well, in this case, what do we got here? So the victory conditions, obviously one side routes the other, and they both have the same 88 tactical quality points before they rout. But that's a lot more Seleucid units breaking than it is Jewish units. On the other hand, the Jewish units are higher quality, and they have good leadership, better leadership, so because we've got the same guys as we did in the last battle for the Seleucids, Lysias being the only one who's actually positively identified as being there. But the rest, it's kind of a hard thing. Are we going to see quality win out versus quantity? Because here the Seleucids clearly have the quantity. They also have some interesting things, though. Anyway, onward to the victory conditions a little bit more. If the Judeans are able to cause 15% loss to the Seleucids, which is 38 tactical quality points, then if they can retreat in good order off the north mappage without routing, they also get a victory. And I really like that handling. Now, this is the first time the Jews were faced with an organized elephant army. And their reaction to that is, Okay, so there's a seeing the elephant rule here, which is whenever a Judean unit is engaged by an elephant, it rolls a die against its tactical quality. If it passes, it takes a cohesion hit. If it fails, it takes 3. This is in addition to any others having to do with the initial shock. However, there's a rule on Eleazar the elephant killer. One of Judah's brothers went forward and basically got under an elephant and killed it. He was killed in doing so, but this, showing that these things were defeatable, lent some courage to the Jewish troops. And the rule for this is anytime an elephant conducts a shock attack against a Judean unit, the Judean player may declare an Eleazar assault. The elephant makes a tactical quality check. If it's a failure, the elephant rampages. If it's successful, the elephant takes a cohesion hit. In either case, though, seeing the elephant is gone. Well, seeing the elephant never happens then. That's not a well thought out rule. I don't know how to fix that, but essentially, the first time you get attacked by an elephant, you get this extra damage against it, and then the rest of the rule just doesn't have any effect ever again. I'm going to think about that a little bit. Maybe I can come up with something. Basically, my thoughts along the lines were the first time an elephant rampages gets rid of that rule, and you say Eliezer was there. That, of course, unbalances it the other way and makes the elephants more potent. But as it is, the elephants are useless. So in terms of they don't have any special advantage, which I think is completely unreasonable. It doesn't feel like it really captures the spirit of the situation. Anyway, I'll start playing and maybe I'll come up with something. Well, here I am at the end of the first turn in this battle, and the Seleucids have pushed forward some of their lines. They haven't been able to move everything. It's difficult to command such a large force. Hey, I forgot somebody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ah, well, one of my elephants is out of order. But bringing them forward to the battlefield in some semblance of order is always a difficulty. And in this case, we're getting those forward units up there. The Jews have decided not to come charging down and try to break up the kind of lighter stuff, especially the skirmishers, etc., that's in the front. They've got to really worry about the cav flanks here, which could prevent them, even if they manage to get that 15% casualties on the Seleucids, could prevent them from withdrawing without routing. So they've got a definite issue there, and they don't have a long enough line to handle that whole thing. May end up dispatching someone out this way to just start covering that side, and hey, maybe this side as well. Give them a little bit of opportunity to defend their flanks there. It's not going to be enough, and you know, when I look at how thin this line is and how much the Seleucids have, frankly, I don't. It looks ugly. It really looks ugly, but cause some casualties to those kind of weaker units that are up here. Plus, the phalanxes are going to have a hard time getting up those hills. If they go up in column, they have to redeploy, and they're still going to take cohesion hits climbing that hill. So it's going to be a slow process getting them forward. They're not going to be what can win the battle. These Argy wasps or whatever could do a pretty good job, and they may end up being my main hitting force. But then I'm kind of coming in piecemeal without the main line of my army coming forward. Oh well. End of another turn, and the Jews are pushing forward to try to extend their flanks, try to resist that first hit. They have to fight at least some and cause some damage. This is the best terrain around at the top of the hill, so they're going to do what they can, and hopefully these heavies will break up. But the Seleucids are taking their time moving forward. They're not trying to rush and hit with their light units first. I think that's the way to spell a disaster in this scenario. They're going to take their time to recover the phalanx as it climbs the hill. Just, you know, not try to break this all at once. But they do have a nice flanking action going on here that they may try to take advantage of and see if they can, you know, cause enough damage without taking damage to the Jewish right flank there. The left flank, they're having more trouble. They don't have as much leadership on this side, so they're having trouble getting the cav into position with, you know, the kind of defenses that they've lined up with the elephants and the chariots. I still haven't figured out what I'm doing with the elephants. I think that they need to have at least some effect on the Jewish units before the Eliezer rule comes into play. So I don't know what that's going to be. It may be the turn after the elephants hit. The first time I'll allow the Eliezer rule to take effect. I don't know. Well, the poor Seleucid leaders over here, and then here on the end, not having a lot of luck getting their forces moving. But this guy here managed to get all three of his waves into place, struck in and with his cav, and is starting to knock out that Jewish right flank. And that's going to be dangerous. The Jews are going to have to pull back to the hill here, try to defend themselves, make it harder on the cav. But the cav just, outclasses them by so much that, and then with the elephants coming behind them, it's going to be a rough fight over on that side as the rest of the battle is developing anywhere. I think we're going to see the Jews maybe try to charge forward and scare these cav out, but if they do that, they're exposing themselves, and the cav can get away. It's faster, so I don't know. This is just a really tough tactical situation where I'm not sure the Jews have a chance of. I don't know. Maybe their victory condition for withdrawal is easy enough that they'll end up causing some casualties. I mean, they ended up routing one of the cav just with a skirmisher, actually, which probably is illegal because skirmishers can only do 1 point of damage. Oh well. Yeah. I'll let that stand, but I'll try to remember not to do it. Anyway, we're back to the main force and see where that's going. Well, the central skirmisher line had moved forward. Johann decided to sweep down off the hill, and he just, drove them away, recovered his own troops. He's got a little bit of a problem in terms of, he's got some exposed flanks, but what he thinks he can do is turn around and climb back up the hill and position himself again. And that's caused a real disruption in the front of the Seleucid army. Yeah, those skirmishers always a pain in the butt. You kind of want them there as a shield so that you can advance and maybe, position your phalanxes properly. But if the enemy really wants to get rid of them, they can clear them out without too much harm. We saw that happen. They just scattered them, and now the phalanxes are kind of in danger. If they move forward, well, they're pretty hard to attack, but they're not going to be in position to attack. They're not going to, they're going to have climbed hills and be tired as they walk forward. So that's kind of a pain in the butt for them. But I don't know how much of an effect it has. We had the only casualty so far is a skirmisher for the Jews, the routing cav that probably shouldn't have left, but what the heck. Alright, on to another turn. Well, the light infantry under Nicanor here charged forward. They could manage to get a flank attack on one of the units. But the end result, well, those are such poor quality, the Arab units, that they just all ended up routing. A couple of them before they even engaged, and one of them after it traded some blows with the Jews. But it's really tough to have low quality units when it comes down to it. It's a big enough thing that the Jews have such high quality units, but those low quality Arabs just aren't able to do the trick. And it comes down to there's only one thing, the phalanx, two, and the cav flanking units. Well, and we got the silver shields too, but that front line stuff just isn't cutting it. So the Seleucids threw an elephant into the fray and broke some of Jonathan's forces up here. But he managed to slip in, get his flank attack on that elephant, hit it. Now next turn I can use the Eliezer rule and then remove all the penalties from the elephant from that. That's the way I'm doing it. We also see Johann, who's really charged forward pursuing those lights. I tried to look at, could I turn around, move back, and turn back around? It's too expensive in this game. Only the Romans have that kind of discipline. The best thing here, just keep attacking until you break. Once you rout, then you can rally your forces and at some point and turn them around and put them into position where you want them. But it's really hard to do a fighting withdrawal in this game, which actually makes the historical Jewish position a difficult one, because once you turn your back on the enemy, they can largely chase you. Now, it would have been possible to pull these guys away a couple of hexes maybe, but then they'd be facing in the wrong direction. And it's just, they're within striking range at this point. They really have to break the enemy completely, further than they did. So, yeah, they're pushing on, and not into the phalanxes, obviously, but, they're going to have to fight. Now, all we have left really is the remainder of the Jewish leaders, and I've got to decide what I'm going to do with them. Am I going to sweep down and try to break them? Right now, I've got 10, 12 more points. Elephants and skirmishers don't cost much. And then some more running off the board. So we're not going to hit that 80 or whatever in any easy manner. It would be fairly easy, I think, to begin withdrawing the Jewish forces. Get them away from this Cav attack. But can I win the battle? And I feel like I kind of have to, because, I've said so much about these Jewish troops and how I don't think that they accurately represent things, that I feel like I do have to fight this battle to a victory. And what we see, Judah manages to pull down this entire line. He's had to run off and do it himself because he didn't activate Simon. Simon got activated before and didn't do anything. But Judah decides to just charge forward with everything. And now he's presenting a pretty solid front against the Cav. They can't get away. They can't get around him easily. They're being pushed back rather than engage. Even with skirmishers, they don't want to take the missile fire and lose their kind of charge bonus. I don't know what that's all meaning, but we're also seeing a couple of them, the Arabs being chased away in a routed state. They're going to be running. It's really putting some pressure on the Seleucid army, and it really cannot stand up to these high-quality units. I'll finish up the administrative tasks, flipping counters, moving routeds and stuff, and come back with the points. Well, here's our position at the end of this turn, and it's 22 points towards the route points. Now, 16 more, and the Jews can withdraw. 66 more, and they win this battle, though. The tough part is most of the points are sitting in these phalanxes, and those are harder to crack. But if they can, fight their way through and defeat the lighter stuff. Now here, this side looks rough to me. This side looks rough with all that cav, and that's the real threat. If that can break in behind the Jews, I think they're done for there. I think they may well be routed if they lose that half their army. And that's the problem. They've engaged so hard, but the choice here was really on this side. Do you engage on this side too, or try to withdraw from there? And I don't know the answer. We'll see. We'll see if the cav is enough to finish this off. This one's going up.